Don't worry. It won't hurt nearly as much as you think.
When Alicia regains consciousness, she finds herself surrounded by various animal specimens, even limbs and organs on a table. It takes her a few minutes to fully awaken and realize she's been tied to a table, desperate to escape before her captor returns. She cleverly uses a nearby antler to cut through the tape binding her hands and then frees herself from the ropes. Just then, she hears noises outside. The captor must be returning. Alicia pulled off the antlers from the machine as a defensive weapon and hid behind the door in preparation for a sneak attack. As the doorknob turned, the door opened and Alicia rushed out to make the first move. To her shock, it's Dakota who opens the door, not the captor. Alicia didn't understand why Dakota was here, but she didn't care to ask. The most important thing was to get out of here. However, the man, Ed, enters, raising Alicia's defenses instantly. Ed tries to explain, claiming he only injected her with a hunter's tranquilizer, but Alicia is skeptical. Dakota interjects, explaining that her security team was attacked and Ed took her in. Alicia was also confused about who attacked the escort. Dakota said that there were a lot of zombies coming out of the woods, and while the escorts were dealing with the zombies, someone jumped out and killed the escorts, and she drove off before she could see. Ed said he found Dakota on the side of the road. Alicia remains wary of Ed, especially knowing his disturbing actions with zombies, but Ed says he just made the zombies a little scarier so people would stay away and not bother him. Dakota's assurances slightly ease Alicia's suspicions. Ed reveals his family is also dead, prompting Dakota to share her loss. Virginia killed her parents. Alicia begins to understand Dakota's eagerness to leave Virginia. Dakota, feeling safe with Ed, expresses her desire to stay. Alicia, feigning a need for a blanket, has other plans. In the hallway, she encounters Charlie, who sneaked in out of concern for Alicia. Charlie told Alicia that the man had sealed all the doors and windows after he found you, and that if she tried to leave, she'd make a lot of noise. Alicia tells Charlie to stay hidden while she devises an escape plan. At the workbench, she secretly stashes a screwdriver. Ed and Dakota enter the room, leading Alicia to confront them about being trapped. Ed insists he's only protecting Dakota from potential killers. Alicia counters, saying the best protection would be to let Dakota go, as Virginia, her sister, will surely send people to find her. Ed thinks about it and says you should leave in the morning. It's not safe at night. Dakota is puzzled as to why Alicia revealed their situation to Ed. Alicia explains that the zombie Ed was using for his specimens was a cavalryman, hinting at Ed's potential involvement in the attack on Dakota's security team. Alicia warns that staying here might turn them into Ed's next specimens. In the middle of the night, Alicia stealthily reaches Ed's radio and contacts Virginia on her frequency. Virginia, tending to her wounds, is confused by Alicia's call. Alicia explains that she's with Dakota, whose security team was ambushed, and offers to return Dakota in exchange for her and Charlie's freedom. Virginia, concerned for her sister's safety, reluctantly agrees. She muses why so many are desperate to escape the community she built. Alicia and Dakota fall asleep on the sofa to conserve energy. Meanwhile, upstairs, Ed activates a remote control, and loudspeakers outside blare, attracting zombies from miles around. These zombies, bizarrely modified by Ed, swarm towards the house. Alicia confronts Ed about his actions. Ed says, "I'm bringing back all my work," which is, of course, the zombies outside the door. Ed told Alicia that Dakota didn't want to leave, "But you told me it wasn't safe, so I brought my creations back to make sure no one gets hurt." Ed then pulls out a pistol and tells them to go upstairs and he'll protect them. The strange music continues, and more grotesque zombies gather. Dakota and Alicia are locked in a room. Suddenly, Charlie appears, saying she's stolen the keys, radio, and Alicia's weapon while Ed slept. Alicia said Ed could wake up any minute. Charlie was proud to say that Ed wasn't going to wake up anytime soon. Dakota suggests hiding where Virginia can't find them, but Alicia doesn't respond. Dakota doesn't know she's a bargaining chip. After reaching the ground floor, they quickly turn off the music, causing some zombies to disperse. But then, Ed's voice echoes behind them. He accuses Charlie of not injecting the needle properly into the vein, questioning their motives and insisting he only wanted to ensure their safety. Alicia reluctantly lowers her weapon, and Dakota, wanting to avoid further conflict, suggests Ed could leave with them.
Right? Yeah.
No.
Ed, however, suspects Alicia of being a loyalist to Virginia, especially after discovering she used the radio to contact her. Just as Ed prepares to kill Alicia, she grabs his hand, and they tussle. falling to the ground. Alicia is once again down for the count, but just as Ed aims his gun at her, Charlie launches a surprise attack. Alicia, seizing the moment, kicks Ed, sending him tumbling backward onto a chair. In a shocking twist, a set of antlers impales Ed through the chest. Alicia's a little upset at this point. She didn't want to kill Ed. Although Ed was a bit paranoid, he was trying to protect them. Their fight had drawn the zombies back, and now Ed's condition was critical. Pulling out the antlers would cause him to bleed out. Ed was convinced that the solid gate was starting to shake, and it looked like it wasn't going to hold. Recognizing his extreme actions, Ed urges them to escape upstairs and break through the boards. He decides to stay behind to buy them time. Dakota refuses to leave without Ed, who confesses his desire to protect them stemmed from failing to save his own family. He pleads for them to leave for their safety. Alicia reluctantly agrees, but Ed pulls her aside, warning her against any drastic actions, cautioning her of the guilt that follows such decisions. By this time, the gate was about to be breached, and Alicia had to retreat. Ed watches the zombies he created enter, unafraid. In a tragic twist, he can't control them, but there seems a dark solace in meeting his end at the hands of his own creations. Dakota and Alicia can only watch helplessly as the zombies tear Ed apart. They're puzzled as some zombies start heading outside. Seizing the opportunity, Alicia heads downstairs and swiftly takes down 2 zombies inside. Before Alicia can act, a figure swiftly decapitates a zombie. It's Morgan, and there's no time for reunions now. Alicia turns to face the zombies feasting on Ed. These weirdly modified zombies are no different from regular zombies in combat. Morgan took off his hat. Alicia, in disbelief, never imagined he was still alive. They embrace tightly.
How are you here?
I heard the music.
No, how are you alive?
Charlie was naturally happy that Morgan was still alive. He had saved her life. They had all heard Morgan's last words over the radio that night, believing he was dead. Alicia is eager to know who saved him, but Morgan doesn't know either. In the morning, they bury Ed, acknowledging he wasn't a bad person, just extreme in his methods. Morgan mentions he's found a place they can go, where Dwight and Althea are already waiting. Charlie notices Alicia's troubled expression and starts a conversation. After Ed's words, Alicia feels using Dakota as a pawn is wrong. She plans to join Morgan in overthrowing Virginia. In a private conversation with Morgan, Alicia learns he's changed his approach. He plans to use Dakota in exchange for their captured people and admits to attacking her security team to capture her. Alicia questions if Morgan was behind the oil field's explosion, but he denies it. Alicia knows Morgan wants to recover their people, and she initially planned to use Dakota too, but she questions why they can't have Dakota on their side to defeat Virginia. Morgan thought it was the only way. This leads to a dispute between them. Charlie and Dakota, drawn by the noise, enter the room, unaware of the reason behind Alicia and Morgan's argument. Alicia makes her stance clear, even willing to confront Morgan physically to prevent his plan. Alicia is ready to leave with the girls, prepared to fight Morgan if necessary. However, Morgan can't let them leave like this. He firmly believes that everything he's done has been for the purpose of reuniting them. If they could not work together, all his efforts would be in vain. He suggests a new plan, including Dakota in their journey to the dam. They reach a compromise and decide to head to the dam together. As they are leaving, Victor arrives, relieved that Alicia found Dakota.
Alicia, I know I can count on you.
Surprisingly, Alicia informs him that Dakota will join them. Morgan emerges, and Victor, shocked, questions if Virginia is aware of his survival. Morgan said she must have known, but she just didn't tell you. After all, Virginia still doesn't trust Victor enough to let him in on these secrets. Morgan invites Victor, but he refuses, insisting on taking Dakota with him. Their disagreement leads to a standoff. Alicia, weapon in hand, makes her position clear.
Do you really want to do this?
Do you?
Outnumbered, Victor is forced to relent. Watching them leave, returning to the community, Virginia immediately seeks Dakota. Victor reveals she's with Morgan.
Which side of this are you on?
Yours.
Which paradoxically earns him Virginia's trust. She decides to show Victor some secrets.
I told you the day would come when I would call you up for the big show. Today is that day, Victor.
Leading him through a hidden door. Inside, Victor is shocked to find pregnant Grace, imprisoned there.
Get up.
John leaves a note on the table, takes a deep breath. and decides to end his life amidst the apocalypse. Just as he prepares to pull the trigger, zombies inconveniently appear at the door. Suicide requires courage, and John drinks more, steeling himself. But as he readies again, another zombie emerges from the water. Since leaving Virginia's group, John has returned to the cabin where he first met Naomi, only to find its door long gone. He wants to end his life without his body being desecrated by zombies, so he sets out to find a door to ensure this. Curiously, the bridge is now swarming with zombies, likely someone's doing. John doesn't care, he just wants a door for a peaceful death. Arriving at a house, he finds several zombies at the entrance. He yells, drawing them towards him. The presence of zombies suggests someone inside, so he cautiously enters. The house is silent, but bloodstains on the floor put him on alert.
John.
Dakota!
It turns out to be a false alarm. John figures Dakota is hiding from Virginia, initially suspecting her of drawing the zombies to the bridge, but Dakota clarifies it wasn't her but someone inside the house. When they opened the door, Morgan was sitting on the floor. Turns out Morgan and Alicia took Dakota and Charlie away, but with Virginia's cavalry hot on their trail, they had no choice but to split up and head for the dam. During the escape, Morgan's wound reopened, so they rested here temporarily. John is shocked but relieved to find his old friend alive. Maybe fate intervened in his suicide attempt to lead him to Morgan. While they were catching up, there was a commotion outside. John and Dakota hide behind shelves, and Morgan in the bathroom. The intruder was Virginia's henchman, Marcus, who didn't realize he was only inches away from them. Since they didn't know how many people were out there, they didn't dare to act rashly. Marcus is intrigued by something on the wall. He senses that someone has been here and pulls out his walkie-talkie to contact Virginia. John aims his gun at Marcus, ready to act, with Dakota and even Morgan signaling him to take the shot. But John can't bring himself to kill without cause. Marcus's signal on the walkie-talkie didn't seem to be good, and then he left the house. Dakota thinks John should have killed him, but John stands by his choice. They then go to John's cabin, where he successfully finds a door, albeit slightly too small. Morgan tells John they need to head 40 miles north to rescue their friends and rebuild their home. This inevitably means a confrontation with Virginia, and sharpshooter John would be a formidable asset in battle. Just then, Dakota finds a knife handle fragment. John said it was a fragment of the weapon that killed Cameron. Finding the knife wielder would have led to Cameron's killer, but unfortunately it didn't. Suddenly, Virginia's voice comes through the radio. Morgan doesn't want to risk exposure by responding, but then Grace's voice is heard. Morgan had to answer the intercom, and he worriedly asked if she was okay. Grace said she was fine and the baby was 7 months old, and I was so happy you were still alive. Virginia threatens that if anything happens to her sister, Morgan's team will suffer, and her cavalry will soon find him. Daniel, Luciana, and others have been captured. Morgan realizes they has to get out of here. John agrees to help them cross the bridge but won't join them. Morgan, confused, prepares to leave. Gunshots force them into hiding. Marcus arrives, and as Morgan tries to pull him down, he gets caught in a lasso. Marcus is dragging Morgan along with him. John pulled out his rifle. He didn't want to kill anyone, but his best friend's life was in danger. Morgan is okay, just with a further torn wound. John fires another shot at Marcus to prevent him from turning into a zombie. Their vehicle is damaged, but they find an abandoned car. John takes on the task of repairing it for reuse. While searching for materials, he finds a door that fits his purpose. Dakota doesn't understand its use, but Morgan explains that John doesn't plan to join them. Morgan sees the puzzle John left on the table and understands his suicide plan. John admits he wants to help them cross the bridge but then return to end his life. He feels responsible for Janice's death and his inaction in the store nearly cost Morgan his life. Morgan disagrees with John's decision. He recalls how John didn't abandon him when he was weary of conflict and injured. John helped Morgan find friends who became like family. Despite this, John remains unmoved, claiming he will only assist them in crossing the bridge. Soon, they retrofit the car, temporarily fitting John's door at the front to split the zombies on either side. John entrusts the driving to Dakota, handing her his handgun for safety. He and Morgan will handle keeping zombies from getting entangled in the wheels. Once everything is ready, Morgan steps out of the car to untie the rope securing the fence. Immediately, 2 zombies charge out. As Morgan gets back in the vehicle, John signals Dakota to proceed. Dakota is incredibly nervous at this point.